is willing to have. I'm your host and sole proprietor, Big Al Jameson. So tonight we're diving into a topic that's affecting everybody of every age and every generation, but especially the younger generation today. And the question is, why are there more situationships than they are relationships in these days? It seems like a lot of people are talking, texting, hanging out, spending a lot of time together, acting like a couple, but when somebody asks, what are y'all? We always answer, it's complicated. So tonight we're going to ask some tough questions. Are people afraid of commitment? Has the dating culture changed? Is social media ruining relationships, or are people just simply protecting themselves from being hurt? So let's get into it. But before we get into it, let's introduce our panelists for today. Coming in from the ATL, we got Big J Hurd and Dub. What it is, y'all? We got my DMV family, Sean T.
Yeah.
And we got a doctor in the house. Everybody, please show your love and welcome Dr. Charlie Brown. Welcome, Dr. Brown.
Hey now.
So, what is a situationship? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's more than friends, less than a relationship. You spend time together, you talk every day, you might even be intimate. But maybe nobody wants to define what's like. So the main question that I have for everybody is, have you ever been in a situationship? And did it start a situationship, or it just kind of turned out that way? What do y'all think?
Met a young lady, we're dating, not dating type of thing, right? Now, did it turn into a situationship, or we identify it as one? I think neither one of us wanted something serious, but um, yeah, it was just a situationship. Y'all both have an understanding, and that's what it is. So I've been in one. Now, have I ever been in a situation where I didn't want that and ended up being a situationship? For a little bit, yeah, but y'all know, and the community know, I'm an emotional male, so I can't do that for so long. We ain't out here playing, pass the rock. I ain't passing. I'm selfish. What about y'all? Y'all talk to me.
Have I been in one? Yes. Why? It was almost like it started off like a hey, let's hang out type situation, and then it went from let's hang out to we hanging out like doing stuff, family things, just us two things. Um, how did I feel about it? Like Dub, man, kind of got selfish towards the end. Like, I think I want to make this more than a situation. But sometimes it just comes about where people don't want a title. So instead of having a title, it's just like, hey, you know what? We vibe when we together, we get along. So, we could just do what we do when we around each other, and when we not around each other, you respect the boundaries of each other when you're around, knowing that each other is doing what they doing.
I mean, do situationships allow for that kind of like accountability in the sense of, do you know that there's the boundaries? Like, have you stated that there's the boundaries? Are you gonna do what you're gonna do, and I'm gonna do what I do? Like, or does that kind of go unstated, and that's just assumed because it is a situationship?
I definitely think it depends, right? I think in a lot of cases, it kind of just goes with the flow, right? Like, oh, you supposed to know because we're not serious that, you know, there's really no such thing as boundaries here because we're not even looking to be intentful, right? To your point. But do I like that? Nah, because back to cousin Tiff, she said, situationships normally end because someone catches feelings because it resembles a relationship. But you hear, I told you what it was in the beginning, mind games, using people. It's a dangerous situation. And I agree. Because if I catch feelings, oh, it's up. Like, we not doing this no more. I'm not playing with you. Like, this is what I want. I want you. What we doing? And if it don't work out, then it don't work out. But I think in most cases, situationships kind of go under the table, right? Like, not really talked about until somebody catches feelings.
But isn't that inevitable? Aren't you going to catch? Isn't somebody going to catch feelings if you spending time? Isn't somebody going to be like, "Hey, I'm feeling a little stronger than we was when we started"? I think the definition might have evolved kind of generationally, and I think a lot of younger people probably in their late teens and 20s, I'd say, have a whole different kind of lack of trust. Part of that is social media and technology. But social media plays a big part, right? There's always, in our visual sightline, we can always see something different. Just wait until something better. I think they're always messy, unless you're both or all or however many people in this are communicating clearly. But I feel like those are kind of oxymoronic, right? Like, the reason we're in a situation is because maybe we don't want to communicate so clearly in one direction or another, and that might be how we got here. For anybody who's ever been in a situation, it's like, how do I trust the next person after me or you caught feelings after we said we weren't going to? I think it gets messy in almost every direction.
Nah, definitely. I think at one point it definitely is gonna get messy. Okay.
To like what I heard from you all is like something better and access. So I think just generationally, to Charlene's point, we have been given perceivingly more access. So like if we think about our grandparents and generations before us, there was always what folks called attractive people, or at least who you're attracted to, right? But now it's all in your face. Like every person that you may be attracted to, that you would only see once in every blue moon in your particular world, you're seeing everybody's world, right? And you're able to see that one person or that similar person in every nook and cranny of the world. People are naturally hypergamous, where we identify and try to pick out and pinpoint the best. And the unfortunate thing is that hypergamy, without understanding like that our value diminishes over time, is a dangerous place, because you'll be seeking something that you're no longer eligible for if you don't lock in at some point.
Better, right? Looking for whether it's a social status or whatever it may be. I think that's kind of the problem with social media.
I think y'all are tiptoeing around the root of situationships. And to me, speaking from a person who has been in a few of them in his lifetime, especially when I was younger, it always starts off from a physical perspective. Like, let's just face the facts. We all got needs. You know what I'm saying? And when you a single person out here and you don't have that regular person that you have to participate in fulfilling your needs, that's where it starts. You meet somebody, you attracted to them, it's time to get it in. You start spending time together, things like that happen. But the main root of it is that you're getting your physical needs met. Then as you spend a little bit more time with this person, you get to know them a little bit better, you begin to think, oh, they pretty cool. I might can see myself with this long term. And then that's just where it starts. As opposed to what Charlie said about the communication part of it. I think if the conversation was had in the beginning, like, ho, what is this? What are we doing? Are we just having fun? Is this going to be something potential or whatever? I think as long as those lines of communication are open and and you are understanding where both of you are supposed to be coming from, then there shouldn't be no expectation of a relationship going on if we know that that's not it. However, feelings do get involved. People do get caught up. But the next question I have is, with everything that we all have said, why are they still so common? Is it fear of commitment? I mean, you got many people who want a relationship without the responsibility. They want loyalty without exclusivity. They want love without sacrifice. They want support without accountability. So why do we think we have too many options?
Yeah,
That we got dating
it's,
apps, we got
it's perceived.
people always think something's better on the way if we know that it can turn into something negative.
It's perceived options, right? So the dating apps is a good point I was going to bring up as well. Like it's almost like shopping on Amazon, right? But you're looking for a person to as a companion, so it becomes almost at your fingertips. Hey, okay, this person ghosted me. I'm on to the next. Swipe left, swipe left. I can get a date every weekend, right? So you value people less because they're disposable. My point is that back in the day when you found like a love, right? You clung on to it because it was hard to come by, right? But in this world, in this day and age, it's just like Amazon Prime. I'll dispose a person just as if they're a box that is dropped off at your front doorstep, and it's unfortunate.
The accessibility that you have to people, right? And that goes back to that social media aspect. A lot of the world lives on social media. Everybody want to be in the now, what's going on. Respectfully, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of it is a facade, right? It's to boast in a way so I could come off appealing. And I truly feel like a lot of people fake the funk for social media. But social media is also that bridgeway for the ones who bite into it, they gonna get pulled. Social media has created a easier um bridgeway. I mean, we got all these filters, we got AI now. It's just so much where people can appeal to look a certain type of way or be living a certain lifestyle that is not really them.
Do we also feel like that they has gone at unrealistic expectation? Shanti, what you think?
There might be some people that's now in their 40s, damn near 50s, maybe in their early 50s. They're still young. They still got life. They done been through all sorts of relationships. They done been through all the ups and all the downs, all the good, all the bad, and all that. And they're probably just looking for somebody to just have fun and vibe with every now and then. Hey, if you free, let's catch a movie. Or, let's go out and have some drinks. They don't want all that extra that comes in with having a relationship to even get to that point to where they're hurt all over again. As many people know, sometimes you get the same problems, just a different face. So sometimes it's
So
good for other people, and just that for them just to have like a situationship where they got somebody they can call and hang out with, and know at the top, look, I'm not looking for nothing serious. Just somebody, every now and then we can hang out, it's cool. But you can respect the fact that somebody sit there and actually have that communication and say, hey, you know what? I know you ain't looking for nothing serious, but this is how I feel now. So now it's up to y'all to have that conversation to say, oh, are we going to continue this? Because we know this person catching feelings, but I'm not feeling it that way. I appreciate it. I don't want to, do nothing wrong or hurt you in any kind of way. But as you knew in the beginning, I'm not looking for this. So in order for me not to hurt you, just step away.
so we would attribute that to past traumas then, because I think that has a lot to do with why situationships exist, why they're so common. People been cheated on, people been lied to, people been divorced, and as somebody who's had multiple relationships in his life, we don't always self-assess and take the time to heal the way that we're supposed to sometimes. Sometimes we always find that out later on. And I can tell you, especially if you're somebody who loves hard, getting out of a relationship after you done put your time, your energy, your money, your spirit, everything in it, and it still don't work out, is very emotionally exhausting. But at the same time, after some time, you still want that company. You still want some companionship. You still want somebody just to chill and hang with. You set a boundary. To me, a situationship is a boundary that you set because you want all of the benefits, but none of the work. Well, what y'all think about that?
I agree partially. I don't know if I agree with situationships root from trauma. I don't know if I agree with that statement. And the only reason I say that is because of this. If I'm healed, but I'm just not ready to be in a committed relationship. It's not because of anything that happened in the past. Let's say I didn't have my heart broken. I haven't been in a relationship or anything of that nature. But I'm just now starting to getting a groove back, right? I'm starting to get into this new day and age of dating, and I'm finding myself, right? There's new things that I like about myself that I ain't like then. I'm going to kind of experiment until I kind of understand concrete, that core value of what I'm looking for and what I want in a partner in a relationship.
But think about it this way, then, because you said something interesting. You said if I'm healed, if
Hmm.
you are, in my opinion, if you're truly healed, there's no reason to experiment. Part of being healed is also knowing exactly what it is that you do and do not want, what
No.
you are willing to not put up with. I don't think that you can say that you are healed, but yet you still want to go out here and explore. Exploration to me is not healing. That's you trying to find something.
You have to experiment in anything you do in life to find out, regardless if you know what you want or not. You're gonna have to experiment. If I know the do's and don'ts that I want, right? You don't know until you experiment whether or not that person is gonna do the do or do the don't, correct? So you can be as healed as you want to. You're still gonna have to experiment. I'm still gonna
add some psychology to this. I think it's both and. You're gonna get at every new level that you are, you're gonna get people who reflect you at that new level. And so if you're not used to being reflected in the way that you actually are, you're like, okay. But relationships teach us that valuable, like relationships are a mirror. You know how you get to healing and find out what you need to heal is by people reflecting that back to you. Often the people who are going to be most intimately related to you. Intimate can be platonic also. So it might be your close friends. It might be like sexual relationships. I do think that exploration is necessary. So I think there's a lot of pressure on people in like their 20s to find quote unquote the one. And it's like, nah, maybe explore. You don't actually know who you are yet. And you do find that out through the different relationships that you're in. You do figure out what is a yes and what is a no for you. And your yeses and your nos change as time moves on. So your yeses at 23 are going to be different than your yeses at 43. And so you need different things. You are going to be the new people that come into your life. Most people do not, especially like friendships, do not grow at the same pace. And so everybody has their own pace of growth. You might grow academically, right? You might have a big academic bucket, but a small social bucket. You might have a huge social bucket and ain't read a book in 45 years. And that's fine, like whichever buckets you're in. But the people that you meet at each new stage of your life are going to be different based on who you are. And who you are is going to be based on what you have worked through, what you haven't worked through. And the people who show up, they're going to show you what you haven't worked through real quick. If you're willing to be in any kind of relationship that has intimacy of any sort, there's going to be a mirror reflected back to you of who you are right now. Sometimes we get caught up because people from way back think we're still the person we were way back and have expectations on us about who we were way back. And it's like, I've gone through 5 lifetimes since then. That's not even a fair expectation. So it is about communication, but it's also about being honest with yourself about who you are in this moment. And who you are in this moment is not even who you were in the last moment. We sort of change. Every encounter we have changes us ever so slightly. Most actual relationships of any sort are a series of small decisions either toward or away from your partner. So if you're consistently moving toward each other, a couple of small and sometimes even a couple of big decisions in the opposite direction will not necessarily break your relationship. But the opposite is also true. If y'all have been consistently moving apart from each other, making small and big decisions away from each other, a couple of small decisions or a couple of big decisions toward each other is not going to make or remake a relationship either. And so understanding that there's like this ebb and this flow and things aren't static. We're all dynamic. We're all moving. We're all fluid. We're all in motion as who we are. I think you're both right and I think you're both wrong.
So, from what y'all have seen in the dating scene and what you've heard, who do you think creates more situationships, men or women?
Men.
Yeah, I was gonna say I ain't
Yeah.
gonna call them. Yeah, Yeah,
Men
definitely men.
have you know, it's a cliche, but women typically have access to intimacy, and men have access to relationships. So a lot of times men will create, you know, a scenario where sometimes they're honest in the beginning to say, "Hey, this is all I want," or sometimes they lie. But it's all in hopes of, you know, establishing a relationship usually. But men create the tone in terms of if it escalates from friendships, situationships to relationships. So the lack of relationships has to fall on the men being the culprit and not essentially following what I guess society tells us things should go in terms of the man saying, "Hey, I want you to be my person. I want you to be my fiance or my wife." So it creates that dynamic. But I wanted to go back if I could. I do align to that a little bit, and I think unfortunately people have different coping mechanisms to fill gaps within themselves. So if you think about if you're bitter, if you feel bitter, or if you feel resentment or regret or hurt or heartbreak, sometimes people use people as tools to plug in those holes within themselves. Right. So you plug this person in the bitterness bucket, you plug this person in the regret bucket, and it makes you selfishly whole, or at least you feel whole. But it transfers and it heals you, but transfers that negative energy to them, right? Because you know, I can't remember who said it, but I think it was Newton. Energy can't be created or destroyed, but just transferred from one party to the next. So you
Hmm.
heal yourself, right? Selfishly by using other people and plugging them into holes that experiences have caused in your life. So I think I'm aligned to everything, but I wanted to make that point because healing is important, but people have different mechanisms to do that, and a lot of times we, as people, use other people to overcome that challenge or that depression, the negative emotion that you're going through in that phase of your life.
I would say that's the opposite of healing. Healing has to come from the inside out. You're not healed if you had to use somebody else to plug up your hole. And a lot of men use sex. One of their a main mechanism for many men is sex, as thinking they're plugging up the hole, but it's insatiable. Since you haven't actually plugged the hole is empty again. I think what you're describing is the opposite of what actual healing is. Healing is
Agreed.
messy. Healing is hard. But it's also only one butterfly ever comes out of a chrysalis. In order for a caterpillar to turn into a butterfly, it has to literally liquefy. But in its own chrysalis, you can have two chrysalises next to each other. You can have two people who are in a liquefied state who are doing the work, who are healing next to each other. But your healing is going to come very specifically from inside of you. The healing itself is not those are the coping mechanisms trying to find the healing. I don't think that's actual healing. I think it's the opposite of actual healing.
Agreed. And I think the thought there is maybe a misunderstanding of what healing is in general and the coping mechanism. Just like an athlete that blows his knee at the state championship or the Super Bowl, they have the option to get that steroid shot on the side, right? And it feels like they're back in the game. It feels like they're themselves. But once they win the game and they get home and that steroid shot wears off, they realize, hey, I didn't fully heal, but I got through that period of my life. I got through that fourth quarter. And that's what I was kind of referring to, where we heal, or at least feel healed, by plugging people into buckets that we currently have holes in within ourselves.
Using people, I think studies have shown that using people for the process of healing, like you said, instead of healing from within to without, is what we think is a good strategy to do to try to heal from an emotional. It feels like a distraction. But one of the other questions that I had was, who really is more responsible? Like, okay, in situationships, some say that men just don't want commitment, right? On the other side, some people say that women are accepting situationships, hoping that they turn into a relationship. Is it one side or the other, or is it both?
I think it's clearly both. I think it definitely depends on the person, but I think also a woman's native nature is to be a nurturer. Like most women would rather be in the situationship hoping for that they could change the guy into wanting a relationship. Naturally, women think I want to be a nurturer. So he's struggling here or has different thoughts here. I want to be the one to help change his mind. And on the opposite end, yeah, shout out to some of the homies. They definitely don't want it. Like commitment is just not a thing for everybody. It just depends on the person. And to answer your question, it's both ways. It's both ways easily. Men avoid commitment, and women stay in situations that they know they're not supposed to be in. But men do the same thing as well. We've all pitied the fool sometimes. We all done played it at least once. It's how the game go. So that's my opinion on it.
Sean T, what you think?
I think it both. I agree with Dub. I think it's both, and I think it depends on the individual. There are some men that just at the moment they don't want nothing. They might feel like they not finding nothing, and they trying to weigh their options. It might be some women that pretty much they don't feel like they done had so many different ones that they don't know who to trust. They don't want to give their all, so they just gonna ride the wave till wave is gone at the end of the day. Just pretty much depends on the person.
Do you feel like it could be one sided? Like, do you feel like um it's basically because men don't want commitment or because women stay in situations that they know they shouldn't be in? Like, what do you feel like it could be either one?
It's one of those two sides can be true things. I think it is both, but I think it's also flipped as well because there are a lot of men who get into situationships with women hoping that it does get something changed too. I'm just looking at it from the outside looking in. When women have dealt with so many different men who have done them wrong, right? It can make you bitter a little bit. It can make you defensive. What I spoke to earlier, you still have that physical need. You still want that need of companionship. You still want that need to get your needs met. So I think when it comes to who's more responsible, I don't think it's one side more than the other. I think both sides, especially when there's a lack of communication on what the intent is, I think both sides can be, responsible. Who do y'all think benefits more from situationships, men or women?
I think it depends. It's a lot of different variables that can happen within a situationship.
Benefit.
It could be sex, it could be access, it could be use of resources, it could be it's all the benefits without having to put in the work. It's the time spent, it's the affection. Who benefits more from it? The men or women?
It might be. I guess you have to define what you identify as a benefit, right? So it goes back to person. But if you are somebody that's a lover and you want to be in a relationship, a situationship is never going to be beneficial, technically, unless you're trying to change. Once again, you stand into a situation too long till you're changing that person to build into a relationship with. But now you playing the game now. Unfortunately, you've thrown your hand in. But if you're a person who I'm not looking for a relationship and I just want to play, well then yeah, it's always gonna be beneficial for you. But if you're a lover, it's never beneficial, in my opinion.
Most selfish person benefits by gaining the most without. So it's not gender specific. So whoever is gaining without having to invest the least, investing the least, but gaining the most.
Put in the work. Yeah.
They are benefiting selfishly in a situationship. I go back to my point that I feel like relationships are initiated by the man in a heterosexual relationship. So, in my opinion, most people that are in situationships, which are in this case heterosexual, would be a man and a woman. The man would benefit the most because essentially he's not investing what is intended, which is a connection typically, or a relationship, or fiance or marriage.
So you said you're an emotional man, so I feel like that's on par, right? That if you come in from I'm an emotional man perspective, I feel like that is on par.
uh,
But I also think that you need to talk to your partner and have whatever kind of relationship y'all want if both of y'all are agreed on it. It doesn't have to be anybody's definition or anybody's presentation of what it quote unquote should be. Y'all communicate about it, right? So I think that there's a lot to be said for communicating with your partner and both partners actually figuring out how to get both partners' needs met.
I agree with Dr. Charlotte.
absolutely, absolutely.
It pretty much is what's worked for the people that's involved. It's not about what this person's doing, what that person did, what they did 20, 30 years ago. It's about what works for your household. And for me, I'm I'm in the LGBTQ community. So for me, what works in my household, I would like for us to either be 50-50. If we can't, let's communicate to figure out what works for us. And then we can move forward like that. It's all about communication.
So before we get out of here, let me ask some rapid fire questions right quick from the panel and from the audience if y'all want to participate. So first question is, can a situationship ever become a successful marriage, in your opinion?
I'm not gonna say no because I'm pretty sure it's happened before, but not for me. It didn't work for me.
Yeah,
Probably.
I don't think so because typically people compartmentalize other people into situationships because they've already disqualified them in the beginning. Right.
Disagree. And because with this situationship, like we said, before, people tend to start catching feelings. And then, then they got that thought that maybe, what, this might be the person. So sometimes that situationship is quote unquote probably a bigger word to say, oh, I'm courting this person. And then they get these feelings, they both catch feelings, they both, have a vibe, and then it might turn out to be something. It may not go all the way to marriage, but then
What is the probability of that? And in my experience, and that doesn't mean it's for everybody, but when you start a situation, it's because it's like, hey, I'm attracted to this person, but they don't believe in God, or they don't work out, whatever your things are. But you engage with them selfishly, but you've already disqualified them from going anything.
Because you need to get your needs met.
Of course. So what are the odds of both people flipping and their understanding from a situationship to a relationship?
Yeah,
How often does that happen?
yeah, I'm with you on that. If I already put you in that department, that's where you gonna retire because I've already made my mind up.
Okay. Should intimacy happen before commitment? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you gotta test drive the boat. I mean, like
Hell yeah.
yeah, you gotta go ahead and test drive. Well, what we doing? Because let's be real, people like to beat around the bush when it comes to this topic. We're not gonna act like sexual needs are not important in relationships. They are. They are. Point blank. Period. But so yes, I'm gonna be real because later down the road, I can't. I don't want to look back and be like, well, hell no. I don't want that. I don't want that. So we need to see where we at. Because if you can't rock the boat, I can't rock with you. That's just how that go.
All right. Next question. Is exclusivity owed without a title?
OWE, like ode.
Owed. Like I owe you money.
That has to be discussed between partners. To
I
me.
think that's a communication question.
Yeah. I think that goes back to what Jay Hurd has been saying the whole time. Like, man lead the relationship.
So to end this, the whole situation, conversation, and all of that, can men and women really be just friends?
Nope.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
absolutely.
Shout out to the partners. They already know J Bug, C. Davidson. Salute. Like, yes, easily.
No.
That's what's up.
Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Mike Izzy because his wife told him if he kiss her, they go together. That's it.
Yeah, she was not playing about
She
him
wasn't playing at all. She was not playing.
But it got communicated, right?
for
It got
sure.
communicated. And he understood the communication and said, all right, then I'm going to make my choice based on this communication. And
He
they're
said, I
married
understand.
All right, y'all. That has been another episode of the Still in the Mud podcast. We appreciate everybody who tuned in, who commented. Please, if this is your first time watching us and you want to see us grow, we are accepting donations. You can hit us on the Cash App as $ Still in the Mud, on Venmo at Still in the Mud. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow the YouTube page. Please share this. If you like what we're doing, we really appreciate all of y'all. And we'll see y'all on the next one.